Hi, everybody. I'm going to do a pretty quick one here. This one is just a breakdown of Florida State's wide receiver class, which is easy because that's just one guy, Maurice Goolsby. And as we've done before, we're going to talk about basically making sure that our palate is prepared by taking a look at somebody who turned out to be a really good player at the next level, who compares sort of body-wise and so on, so you can get a sense of what that guy looked like in high school, and then be able to, compare and measure a little bit of what kind of movement skills and that sort of thing you should be seeing. So we're taking a look at Auden Tate. And Tate was a guy that I liked more than most coming out. I thought he was he had excellent body control naturally coming out of high school. One of those guys that could go up and get the football. We saw that at Florida State. See him playing defensive back, and at corner, you can see the pretty loose hips for a guy that size. I mean, that's super, super impressive at 6'5". I'm coaching a guy just like this right now, actually. So, not as you can see. I mean, we saw from Tate in college, not a burner, but the movement. What you're looking for is how well does he sink his hips at this size and change direction. That's one of the things I'm looking for. And how much burst does he get when he puts the foot in the ground and goes. So right there, I want to see how well does he change direction and how well is he able to sink his hips. So for big guys especially, that's what you're looking for. Does he have to play super high, or is he able to drop his hips and right there and turn? And that's something I like to see. Is he a natural guy who uses his body naturally, who's able to box guys out and do everything necessary and go up and use that length. Wow, that was a catch. And again, I want to see the knee bend and the hip sink, change direction. And I looked at this coming out and said, yeah, this guy's probably an NFL guy because of his ability to shift that weight and turn just like that. And then that little burst there. Even though he's not super fast on the he doesn't have that fifth gear, he has the ability to transition and sink his hips and stop. That's change direction at 6'5". That's plenty. And then if you have hands that are natural hands catchers like this, those guys are not a dime a dozen. So that's Auden Tate. We all remember him. Really good player at Florida State. Would have helped a lot had he stayed on the roster for last year. And now we're going to look at a guy who is very similar, 6'5", 195 instead of 206. Tick slower in the 40. Tate, only a 30.8-inch vertical, 37 vertical. And I actually look really closely at verticals. That's something I, as an evaluator for wide receiver and defensive back in particular, I'm big on looking at vertical numbers because it shows true explosiveness. You can kind of train to improve your 40 in ways that it's harder to trick the vertical. So it shows like real explosiveness if you have that. So now we're looking at Goolsby. First thing that'll stick out about Goolsby is if the ball's up above his head, he's going and getting it. Half of these are just going to be him just going up and mossing guys. No questions asked about that. That is what he was in high school. That was his entire role. That's everything he did was go out there and moss that guy. Gotta cut those clips down a little bit. This is one of the things I like best about him, though, is you see a guy that's a wide receiver. Where's he lined up? He's at defensive end. Right here. If you got a wide receiver that's willing to play defensive end, you got a football player. And then you see the hands, natural hands catcher. He's not super explosive in terms of running explosion, forward explosion, but he can put it up, no problem. Natural hands catcher. Once again, is he open? He's always open. Natural hands catcher. Defense again, playing off the edge. And you see there's pretty good burst for an end there. Now, this is the interesting thing to me, is you're signing not just a wide receiver, you're signing a football player here. And he's not real big in terms of his frame. He's not a guy that, you naturally look at and say, oh yeah, 6'5", he should be 240 soon. But you just never know with these 6'5" guys on how much they decide to grow when they get into a college nutrition plan. And I see some of this, and I go, okay, even if he winds up not being an elite wide receiver that can do a bunch for you, you're signing a football player. You're signing a guy that in high school was able to do something off the edge as a pass rusher. You're signing a guy, again, natural hands catcher. You're signing a guy that wouldn't be afraid to mix it up if you put him in there at H-back because of his ability to play on and near the line of scrimmage. And again, you don't see the elite burst, but you do see the elite length. And length can make up for the lack of burst in a lot of cases, as we saw with Auden Tate. And again, making a play as a football player, as an edge player on defense. Again, as an edge player on defense here, playing outside backer. To me, and again, that is a football player. So, is he a 4-star wide receiver? No, probably not. Just because, again, you're not seeing a whole lot of separation. Like on that one, against that corner, you got to get separation. But you're not seeing a whole lot of separation. But Alshon Jeffrey is really his ceiling. I don't think he is likely to reach that ceiling. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey is really good and has been really good for really long. But that's basically what you're looking at in terms of ceiling, in terms of tools. He's not going to run by you, not going to create a bunch of space, but he's always open because of the length. And then, again, a football player. Somebody that's willing to mix it up, could play another position if ultimately that's what was needed and, he's able to put on a little bit of weight. So I think a good signee, if you're going to sign a 3-star wide receiver at Florida State, make him a 6'5" guy with a ton of upside. And I think that's what you did here. A guy that has upside, is a natural hands catcher, can be a red zone weapon and could potentially, turn into a tight end H-back or even, with some strange growth. Who knows what happens? You never know, with these 6'5" guys, could turn into even an edge guy defensively if, certain things went that way. So again, not elite as a receiver, but a really good player to add in terms of what they were able to get for the class. So good reason to feel pretty good about the foundation of the way that they went about taking care of that aspect of the class.